Okay, I believe this is the final indicator we're looking at. So this is the indicator around fire risk, and so this was based on the work that was done to develop the North Cowichan Community Wildfire Protection Plan. And in there, they define different fuel types, and these are standard ones that have been used in other parts of BC and across Canada, actually. So these different fuel types are identified because they have different fire risk, and really they're talking about these risks with respect to crown fires establishing that can be spread and be quite destructive. So the fuel types include the one that's called the C2 type, and so this would be young conifer stands, mostly Douglas fir, between years 5 and 20 years old. C3 would be slightly, definitely older stands, so this would be the ones, again, conifer stands that are between 40 and 80 years old. These have a moderate risk, so the C2 type had a higher risk. The pole sapling stand between 20 and 40 is C4. That also has a high fire risk associated with it. The C5s would be the mature conifer stands that are over 80 years old, and as the stands kind of get to that point, they have the crowns are higher off the ground, and it makes it harder for crown fires to start. And so these are a lower risk stand. Stands that have a considerable deciduous component are also lower risk. Those are the M2s. And then stands that were just recently harvested within 5 years also have a relatively low risk, and that's that slash fire type, fuel type. So each of these fuel types were assigned to those different polygons on the land base according to the stand age and the stand types that we mapped out. Okay, next. Okay, and so this is the result when we put all those out there and we calculate the score on average over time for these different scenarios. We find that, so one thing I wanted to do is to quantify the risk score numerically. So instead of just saying high, we gave it a risk score of 10, a moderate had a risk score of 5, and a low had a risk score of 2. We calculated the amount of area in each scenario, which you kind of see in those pie charts in the different types. So you can see in general, the status quo has more forest in the high risk type, where the conservation ones have more forest, relatively less forest area in those types. There's not a huge difference among the scenarios here, but there is a difference. And then if you calculate the average score that's area weighted on these, you can see that the risk score is a 5.4 for the status quo, and it drops down to a 4.7 in the passive conservation scenario. Next slide.